Hi, I'm Joe Addabbo, State Senator for the 15th District in Queens, and welcome to another edition of Where Do We Go From Here? June 28th is National Insurance Day, and obviously this is an issue that we all are familiar with, maybe, about our insurance policies. What does the policy have? When should we change it to be up on different premiums and different options that we may have? And I think this is an interesting topic, again, to make June 28th very productive in Insurance Awareness Month. And what better off to educate us and to inform us as one of my local agents from my district, Ms. Flor Cawley, is a State Farm agent in Glendale area, Myrtle Avenue in my district. Flor, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, Flor, you've been an agent for how long now?
So I've been in the insurance industry for about 18 years. So since 2007, I became licensed for the first time. I worked for agents in the state of New Jersey. I worked for agents in the state of New York, and then I opened my own agency. So yeah, pretty much I know a lot about insurance. I love to educate everybody that needs my help with insurance. So that's pretty much a little bit.
Now, why is insurance so important? In the perspective from an agent and knowing what our people need, why would insurance be so important to them? And we're talking about business owners, we're talking about renters, right?
Types of insurance, right? So we have different types of insurance. We have property and casualty. We category falls auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and we have life insurance, health insurance. We could insure our pets, we could insure our jewelry. Why is this so important? Some policies are important because it's required by law. Some others because they need to protect the consumer from any financial loss. It depends of what they need to protect to analyze what they need, but it's very important. And obviously, in everybody's perspective, not just required by law, but what they need to protect.
So if I ever need to get from one part of the district to the other and I get a helicopter, I can insure it?
You could insure a helicopter with any, of course you could.
And you said pets too, pets get insurance?
Pets get insurance, yes.
Interesting.
We have pet insurance.
Let's put this way, what should a person look for? Say they want to either get a new policy or even maybe change an existing one. What should an individual look for when deciding on a policy?
Well, there's different factors. Number one, are they financing a vehicle and they need certain coverage for a vehicle? Are they leasing a vehicle? Do they have to protect the home because they have more assets? Or whether they just rent an apartment, they don't need that much coverage. They don't have small children, older children in college, not how much liability do they need to protect? So it's basically their assets. Based on that is usually what we have to look for. Ideally, they need to sit down with their agent, whatever insurance carrier they have, to help them understand and analyze a little bit more further into what coverage do they have, higher, lower, what do they have extra that they might not need, or they have lower, and I'll advise you to have a little more. You might say, no, I don't want to. Okay, but as long as you're aware that you should have this, it's, ideal, like better to have an agent, somebody that understands a little, more.
Right. And the more that they cover, I would guess their premium is a little higher.
Yes. For example, in a home, if you have a bigger home, the dwelling coverage, which is the structure of the home, could be higher depending on how many square footage the home is. Or maybe even in the car insurance, they want to have higher liability because they lease a vehicle. They want more. The bank requires a certain amount, whatever the loan is, a little more according to that. So all those factors are taken into consideration. And that's why it's good to analyze the policy for every renewal. Some companies do 6 months, some companies do a year. So every renewal, they should make an appointment to sit down with their insurance agent.
Okay, so periodically they should.
Correct, they should.
Most of my constituents would be concerned about the rising cost of premiums. I didn't make a claim, but my premiums increase. What would cause an increase in premiums, and how could an individual possibly lower their premium?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. A lot of things doesn't have to do necessarily for with the individual. Um, Try to keep the record clean, less violations. A person that has 5 speeding tickets is not going to pay the same that a person that never got a ticket. Not necessarily just claims. A person that has young operators in the house and a person that has 30 years experience. It's a lot of factors to take into consideration. A person that is changing insurance companies every 6 months. It's like moving into from one home to another every 6 months. That they look for consumer report. They see how long you've been in an insurance company, how many years without claims, how many years without, so that that's an interesting factor how they rate it. Now, cost of insurance, that's another topic. Everything is more expensive now to fix something. To fix your car probably 5 years ago was totally different, much less than what it is now. So all that is, taken into consideration for rating.
So again, if I'm looking to reduce my premium, but yet still be covered, I would take a look at the types of coverage and the amounts of coverage I have.
Right, and the deductible,
Right.
Your part, that's very important.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Would that be the main way to reduce the premiums? Look at the deductible.
I would say both things, the coverage and the deductible, because again, you might have a super high deductible and a lot of coverage. So you want to put a claim and then you don't have, like, it's too much for you, to file a claim again. So there's a lot of things to look at. It's important to sit down with a professional, I would say.
And when would a person, I have coverage, my car, my home, whatever, when would a person look to possibly make changes when they have changes in their life, or when would a person consider, let me reevaluate my policy and maybe make some changes?
Life-changing events.
Life-changing events.
Yeah, the word says it all. A person moving into a home, maybe you're relocating into a new home, other people coming into your home to leave, having a baby, somebody moving out, your kids going to college. Anything is a life-changing event. To me, it's always good to review. Even when it comes to other different type of policies that you should be looking at, mortgages, when you're getting a new mortgage, when you're getting a loan from a mortgage, a refinance, a new vehicle, I would say do it every time you get a renewal. That's the only way to find out if we have life-changing events. Sometimes we don't even know that, or what's considered a life-changing event.
Right. Do premiums fluctuate in terms of I have more than one kid? Is there any kind of deductions, or is there any kind of discounts a person would have at, say, for instance, children, or say, for instance, 3 or 4 cars? Do most insurance companies give a reduction or a deduction?
Most of them do. I know the company I'm with does. Could speak about that part. We have different discounts. Multi-car, yes. Multi-line, if you have more than one, you have your home and auto together. Many things like that. That's why when at the time you sit down with your professional to analyze your finances as well, because we look into that. We look into what you need that you may have a better coverage, or something you don't need, you put it into something else. That's the time that you also look into, see what discounts are available. What discounts can you get? There's a class to take to get a little reduction on your policy. All that stuff matters.
And individuals should feel comfortable going to their insurance agent, speaking to them about what options are available to them in terms of deduction or coverage, correct?
That's right.
They should definitely.
Yes. I would highly recommend an insurance agency that actually have an agent to sit down with them periodically and try to, go over that. Anybody that's licensed are able to review everything and tell you what's necessary, what's not, because that's why we hold a license. We could talk about the coverage. But it's good to sit down with somebody you trust that gives you, enough information of what you should. And it's always what's best for you. So we have to look at what's best for you, what's best for the consumer.
Here you bring up a great point about sitting down with someone.
Yeah.
In this day and age, where we're so like online and we're not sitting down with people anymore. We're actually doing everything else. Has the insurance industry changed in that sense? That again, the day of this and down with an agent might have changed, and now all that people doing it online where you're not getting that personal attention.
People like to do phone calls also by appointments. They could do a Zoom call by
And
appointment.
they can do.
Absolutely.
Right.
They could do camera, off camera. If you're sitting with somebody, I will say you need to look at them and see. I mean, I personally like that. Some people say I'm good with a phone call, but even if you do it with a phone call and you have an assigned agent and you know who you're talking to, it's important because then you know what you're talking about. I'll know what I'm talking about. We both kind of communicate and see what's best for for the consumer to have.
We think it's so personal, whether they're talking about their child, their pet,
Correct.
home, car. They should interact with an individual. It's something that you may not get the full effect if you're just doing it online.
Yes, correct. So online, I could pick anything. I remember my very, very first insurance was purchased online by myself. I had no idea about insurance. And then I realized probably 5 years later that I was paying a policy that probably did not need at that point when I was in college. But I didn't understand it. So I just knew that online I picked what I needed. In the other hand, some people, I was lucky then I picked the highest, but some other people might pick the lowest according to, I just want to pay the lowest. But if there is an accident and you really want to be covered, because that's what you have insurance for, that's when you really want to know, what am I picking here? You don't want to save money, but you also want to know what you have. So that's what we need to explain it. What's bodily injury? What's property damage? What happens if my brakes don't work? Not my fault. I'm driving carefully, but they don't work and I crash into another it was a 3-car accident. And then I don't have enough money to pay those 3, but it was my fault because my brakes didn't work. So stuff like that, it's important at least to explain it to the consumer by their insurance agent. That way, they're aware of what do I have, even to know when to file a claim or when not to.
Yeah, just like you're saying, and I think it's so important to actually speak to an agent as opposed to being online. In your experience, and this is a little off the wall kind of question, but in your experience, what is the most oddest thing that you've insured? Do you have one that sticks out?
Actually, it wasn't odd, but I didn't even know we were able to insure some person got a fine art in another country. And then I didn't know that we were able to insure fine arts. I thought that fell into the category of the coverage on your personal contents in your home. So suddenly I'm like, no, I'm making a call. I always like to double check. Listen, I don't know anything, but I double check and I'm like, okay, that falls under the category of fine art. So I'm like, there was a specific, how do we know the price of the value? You might say to you but you could insure on their value that you think. That's why those personal article policies are separate. So you give the value of what you want to give. So they needed to get an appraisal. That to me, that might have cost probably $300, but the person said $6,000. Okay, that's fine. I agree. The value for them is different. So that's another type of appraisal. That was the only thing that I came across at one point and I didn't know.
So there's separate policies for fine art.
Fine arts,
yeah.
Personal articles, jewelry. If you're going to give somebody a ring, I don't know how many rings you could give. You could have many policies. And you can, beneficiaries could be different. I mean, people think that one person needs to, no, you could have different, personal articles policy for different things. But yes, there's a specific policy that will insure by its value, the value you want to give to a piece of jewelry, to a nice painting,
right.
That stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Ms. Cawley, you came up to Albany.
I did.
And you were advocating for the industry. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about some legislative work that we're doing and how can we help on the state level? I know one bill we are working on is where staged accidents, so they can make the claim. It's actually illegal to stage or falsify an accident.
Correct.
And that's affecting the industry, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because the amount of people that want to file false claims is costing the insurance industry a lot of money, and the profit is not the same, so that it's not a balance. And then placing a lot of then we have to go to further investigations. People that probably can't pay for their vehicle, they want to file a claim saying my vehicle went on fire or got stolen while it's not. And we had to, that's all expenses for every, company to go through. There's false claims. Somebody came to my office to insure a Rolex a day after they filed a claim. So obviously we had to go on their investigation, but all that happened. And then
a day after. They couldn't wait a little bit?
They insured today, and the day after there was a claim. Obviously,
we should wait a little bit.
But they had to put it under investigation.
Wow.
That's more money, that's cost. And that was a personal articles policy, by the way.
There you go. But we appreciate you advocating up in Albany because it gives us insight into what or how we can help ultimately our constituents with regards to insurance policies. So the name of this podcast is Where Do We Go From Here? The insurance agents, the insurance industry, given your experience, you've seen a lot of changes. What do you see coming up down the road that would concern either people, individuals, or concern us legislators? Where does this industry go from here? What lies ahead for the insurance industry?
We don't know. It's hard to predict. From what we know, the rates, the more, more claims. If the claims are not under control, any fraud, that's another topic to probably review after, but try to mitigate losses, do things to, probably in a household, if you have, some people used to call for any little scratch that the car has and file a claim. So the more you have claims, the more difficult it is for you to get a better rate, a better renewal rate. So probably looking also into their policies to see, okay, I have a clean record, another class I could take to make my insurance. The longer you have your policy without claims, the better. Sometimes the more discounts you have claim free, and that actually helps for whatever changes you're coming in the future. Like when you really have a real claim, Trying to not just file a claim for anything. Speak to your agent before. Anything that goes wrong, even to review deductibles. People don't even know that the deductible is higher than the damage, and they already file a claim, and there's no way to go back. It's a claim filed, and things like that will affect your policy as well.
So you should always talk to your agent before filing the claim.
Ideally,
right.
You should. They should, and that's why it's important to have an agent.
Okay. And as far as the industry is concerned, the insurance industry, any concerns that you have as an agent or other agents that you know of have a concern going down, like what to look out for?
I guess I don't see that, like what to look out. We're here to help. And again, I like that part of feeling that you're able to help a person that actually wants a guide them. Like, that's what I'm here for. Like, I don't see anything. Okay, I'm not looking to get the business. I'm looking to help in what I can. If I could educate and tell you and explain something to you that you might not know, I'm here for that. So I think it's whoever has passion for this, and that would be me. So yeah, I like any topic that has to do with insurance. It's just good for me too.
I want to thank you. I know June 28th is National Insurance Awareness, and thank you for making my constituents and other individuals watching aware of what to look for in a policy and to be informed, so that you are able to guide people, not to promote your business, but certainly you're willing to help others if they should call you. So we're going to put at the bottom where people can contact you, not to promote your business, but to give out information so that they go back maybe to their agent or get more information. So we'll make sure people are aware, because it is about helping others through this podcast. But I want to say thank you for being part of Where Do We Go From Here, as we promote, again, National Insurance Awareness Day on June 28th. Ms. Cawley, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. To my listeners, I want to say thank you very much. Hope you found this informative. Please let my office know if I could be of any help to you. But once again, this is Senator Joe Addabbo saying thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.